What's good, people? You know who it is. It's your boy, Big Tank Hank. Coming at you from my old fish room. Yes, sir. I got my house back. Feel like I never left. Thank you guys for helping me. When they told us we had to leave and we were going to leave our house, thank you guys for helping me maintain. We fought and we got our house back. 6 months. That 6 months, it wasn't for nothing. It wasn't for nothing. We learned a whole lot of things in the middle of there, but we were blessed to be back in our home and with a new grandbaby. Yes, sir. Tonight, though, this live stream replay, because I had to record it today because I was forced to go to work, but you guys still needed something to enjoy and somebody to enjoy. Papa Shrimp is in the house tonight. And I want you to still put questions in that chat because he's going to see it, I'm going to see it, and we might still be able to answer questions. But I want y'all to sit back, enjoy, share it out to somebody, your loved ones, let them know about it. Post it on Facebook somewhere. Still check us out. Next week, though, if God says so, we'll be back live like normal. And I'm going to bring him up here. Bow! In the house, Papa Shrimp.
What's up, Big Tank Hank?
What's going on, man? What's going on?
Oh, man, just a pleasure to be here with you.
Hey, I'm so glad
and everybody
to have
else.
you. Have you on there. Hey, something new, man. We trying right here.
Right?
But you guys give me some grace. Give me some mercy. First time, you know what I'm saying? I know you're not going to be able to, be in the chats. Miss Patty, Fish Tropic. Y'all not going to be able to turn up over there. Funk, Fishy Biz. I know. I understand. Y'all not going to be able to turn up and cause trouble, but that's all right. That's all right. Sir, how you feeling today?
I'm feeling great, man. It's been a wonderful day.
Right.
It's crazy because it's middle of December or the first week of December, and it's 80 degrees here in North Texas.
Okay. We have a winter storm last year, and it's hot in the middle of December this year. Oh, my goodness. What's coming? What's going on?
Who knows?
I don't know. Don't want to do no predetermining, but hey, let the people know, for the new folks who don't know who you are, and for those that do, give them a little brief introduction of yourself, where you're from, how you started, how you got into the hobby, who put you in the hobby, where you are today, so we can have something to roll on.
All right. Well, I guess it started when I was a kid because I can remember my first aquarium back as young as 7-ish. And I kind of had mollies and guppies. That was the norm back then. And the little figurines that you buy that you sink in there, the little bubbler, the
sign
diver with the mask, and the bubbles are coming out with the treasure chest and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So that's where my love started. And I was off and on and off and on. And even when I was in the military and I was stationed up in Washington, up there in Fort Lewis, I had an aquarium up there, and I always kept an aquarium. My youngest son of 3, started trying to convince me about this YouTube thing back probably around 2011-ish, 2012. And I kind of blew it off, shrugged it off, what's YouTube, yeah. He wanted to do a cooking channel, cooking with Dad, because me and him cooked together all the time. I was teaching him how to cook. And I kind of shrugged it off and whatever, but he'd record videos and do it on his tablet, whatever. Then when I kind of got into my fish aquariums again, it was mostly planted, but I found a little shrimp one blue shrimp. It cost me $15 at the fish store, and they only had one left. But it was blue, and I love the color blue. And it was a shrimp in fresh water, which I was like, what? What's that?
Ah,
So I got it, and I put it in the aquarium, and then I started doing research. And then I started buying shrimp online. And then it kind of turned in from one aquarium into 5 aquariums. And then I had a heart attack, and it put me out of work. I was on leave for a while I went through all the recovery. So I kind of just dove into my aquariums. And next thing you know, I had 26 aquariums with a bunch of different Neocaridina shrimp. And then I went to Aquashella in 2019 in Chicago. I had 4 subs. But I went to Aquashella and I met everybody. I mean, just all of the YouTubers, and it was awesome. Got to meet Jadrin Aquatics there, even though we were emailing and talking back and forth since we were local here in North Texas and Dallas-Fort Worth area. And but I got to meet him in person. We flew back together, and then we started hanging out together. And in the process, I expanded my fish room. I think I was in upwards of 63 aquariums when my house caught fire. And that was crazy. My entire upstairs was ruined, and I had 31 aquariums upstairs. And Jason actually came and helped me save what I could out of the rest of the aquariums that weren't damaged by all the smoke and heat. And then Rob from Flip Aquatics called me, and I went up to Ohio and worked up there with him for a little bit. But I wasn't able to take care of my family and my son to get him in school, being up in Ohio with COVID and all of these changes. And I was putting him in a private school out of state. So I moved back to Arkansas where he was living with my nephew, and we took care of it, got him in school there. And then I found my way back to Texas and kind of just settled in. And this time I've been able to build racks and get my aquariums stabilized and regrow my colonies. And here I am trying to sell stuff on stockmytank.com, which is, it's kind of like Get Gills, but it's local by one of the, I guess her name's Natalie. Or
Natalie in the house. Yeah.
And hopefully she's here. But, you know, she's been working on that website, and I got in there with her and got all my stuff set up, and we're tweaking out all the bugs. I'm tweaking out all my bugs from improper setup. And, you know, I'm just making a go at it. I want to share shrimp with people, and I want to talk shrimp and nerd out and learn from everybody, because I think there's always opportunity to learn no matter what. You know, I'm no way near an expert, but hopefully I'll learn enough to someday be able to give good expert advice.
Amen. 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 You look like an expert.
Hey, this shirt, I got it from Texas Fish Room. He owns a silk screening company, and he does embroidery too. So 712 Apparel. It's a shameless plug.
Hey, do that.
It's when I get out here in the fish hobby, man, and that's what I love about it, is because, and he's also a musician like I am, so I get it. I understand. I was a silk screener too, and I did it for my band, just like he did it for his band. But
my uncle was a silk screener, and I used to help him out. And Texas Fish Room was in the lowrider trucks, custom lowrider trucks. A guy that I worked with at a dealership here in Hempstead, Texas, knows him personally through the lowrider truck scene. So when it was when I had him on the screen and we were talking, you know, I'm like, man, you know, these things sounded really familiar. Like, hey, this world is too small
Right?
Hey,
Wow.
people, watch what you do, watch what you say. This world is very, very small.
Yeah. No, but I wanted to give him a shout out because I love this shirt. I get a lot of compliments or even comments about it. So it
Hey,
came from
man,
him.
good deal, good deal. I ain't mad at it, not at all. Hey, you want to give some more information on your shrimp, how somebody can get shrimp before we even get rolling?
Basically, I have them listed on. It's stockmytank.com/store/papa dash shrimp. Or you could just go to stockmytank.com and look up by vendor, and I'm on the listing there. I think Jess from Maine's Tails, Furs, and Fins has, fish listed on there. So does Rocco from Rocco's Fish Room. So it's a lot of the locals around here, and I know it's going to get bigger and bigger, and it'll eventually be probably like Dan's Fish and offer because there's even saltwater stuff available. There's some supplies, lights, filters. It's just all the stuff that hobbyists are trying to, make a little dollar here and there through the hobby.
Gotcha. And I like to hear the extras. Because see, I would be somebody who would be all about the extras. Because I pinch a penny. I'm here to tell y'all. DIY, all of that, times
Right.
3 or 4. That's me. I'm sorry. That's me. You see my bricks back here. You see my bricks? See that little tassel hanging? That means that was repurposed wood. And I didn't even take that little piece of red off. Hey, I'm trying to do it. You know what I'm saying? But
Right.
that's cool though. That's cool. Stock my tank, people. Get in and get you something. Hey, how many how many fish do you still have? Because I know you got your shrimp, but do you still have fish?
Yes, I have fish. I have some clown killifish. I have about probably 15 of them or so
Gotta
that I'm
love the
working on.
killies.
I'm breeding. And they
Okay.
bred for me for a little bit. They kind of slowed down, so I'm trying to figure out what I did wrong, or maybe if I should put them all back together.
Oh well, I thought you said you had them all because a lot of times if you have them all together, they'll slow down like that.
Yeah, I had them together, and then once they started breeding, I separated. So it's one male with like 3 or 4 females, and then another male with the rest of the females.
Okay, okay.
So I
Well,
only
maybe
have two males.
a competition thing. You know, you got if you're two males in the same place with the multiple females, the the drive is more. The
Right.
competition. I'm thinking that may be it.
It
Maybe
may
it.
be. I may have to separate them a little bit more, but I have them, and I have some golden or yellow lace guppies that I have a bunch of fry and some adults. I have some yellow cobra, tiger cobra guppies. Those are really nice. 24 karat gold guppies. I have some Neolamprologus catapunctatus shellies. Those are beautiful fish. Those actually survived from the house fire. Jason came over and I had like hundreds of them, and they were all fry, and he took them with him, and they grew out and came back to now they're adults, after he bred them out. It's good to see that they survived all that. Um,
Gotcha.
and then I have some German rams, German blue rams, and dark rams, and I love those. I'm trying to
The
breed those
Dark
out.
Knight Ram.
Yeah, I got those from Dan's Fish, the Dark Knight rams, and then
Okay,
I also
okay.
got L471 dwarf mini snowball plecos. Uh, it's cool fish.
Okay, okay.
So
That's
yeah,
cool. That's cool.
and then of course all my different. I have some. I have some coolie loaches, bow tie loaches, blue dragon guppies. I also have some pandacories and Bolivian rams, and short. black-bodied koi guppies.
Gotcha. You selling those online also?
Not yet. I'm trying to grow them out and get the colony going a lot better.
I mean, your fish, period.
None of the fish yet. It's all shrimp right now.
Okay.
I'm going to start putting my mosses, because I have a lot of Java fern and a lot of Sawasser tang that, I want to share with everybody, because I got plenty of it.
Gotcha.
Get it out.
Gotcha.
I want to get it out of my tanks, get it in other tanks. Gotcha. But I'm working on my other plants, and then I'll start adding the guppies as the colonies get bigger and I have more, because I don't want to just be able to sell like a trio and then I'm all out and have to wait a couple months.
Yeah, it can happen fast.
Oh yeah. Trust me. As soon as I put my shrimp, and all my neos are pretty much gone. They're out of stock. So all I have left are caradinas. So it's like, wow, that went fast.
Yeah, it can happen so fast. So fast. That's cool, man. That's cool. So would you say, how am I word that? How am I word that? Would you say you like the shrimp better?
Yes, definitely. I definitely side on the shrimp better, just because, well, my German Rams. It's a close battle with the German Rams, the shrimp and the German Rams. Those are my two favorites right now. It doesn't matter the shrimp. Actually, I prefer the caradinas, because to me they're easier than neos.
Okay.
I think it's because I pay more attention to the water for the caradinas than I do with the neos. So maybe that's why it's easier, because I'm paying attention to it, and I kind of get lazy with the neos. So maybe that's my own fault.
Is that because they're supposed to be easy?
Yes. The thinking is that neos are easy, so you just throw them in the tank, right, and it'll be all right.
Right.
So then I kind of forget about those. And then the caradinas, oh, well, you got to make sure the water's clean and everything. So I am. So maybe that's why it's easier to. But it's the same thing with the German Rams. I love the German Rams. They have such cool personalities, and I love watching them spawn, and the way they, they're right now, they're still eating their eggs. And I'm hoping eventually they'll learn how not to. And if they don't, then I'm going to start pulling the eggs.
Right. Gotcha. Do they seem like more of a what I call a mindful fish? Because your monster fish have a tendency to be very personable. Then you break it down to, let's say, your Achilles, your anabantoids.
Right.
That's some down there behind me, some betters down there behind me. And they have these personalities. The fish who swim stop. For those people that's trying to figure out what I'm talking about, you know what I'm saying? The ones that swim stop, seem to be always thinking.
Right.
And those fish have a tendency to be more personable. It's like they're always wondering what you're doing, as opposed to what's going on in the tank.
Right.
Like guppies, you feed the guppies, you're no longer important.
Right.
You get them full right now, you're no longer important. But those other types, the ones that the mindful fish, you can feed them. All of a sudden, okay, the food is gone. Now you're still in here.
Yep. They're looking at you.
What is it you got going on? Yeah, what's happening? Yeah, that's cool. I really like those types of fish. The monster fish cause me to have too big a tanks, too much water. So I like the small ones that make you feel like hey, you're important. It's worth you being here with me.
Right.
That's cool though. That's cool.
What would you say? Tank guy. I'm a nano tank guy. I'll stick with the smaller tanks just because. I mean, I'll probably have some 40 breeders and stuff like that, but I really don't want to get into the big tanks because it's too deep. It's too much. For shrimp, I don't want to be catching shrimp out of tanks that are so deep that I have to climb in there and get half my arm in the tank. I'd
Right,
rather
right.
use the telescoping net as much as I can and not my hand going in the water at all. Those kinds of
Gotcha.
things that I do with the shrimp. So I guess I'm a nano tank guy, and it's easier to clean. And if I need to reset tanks, so on and so forth, then it's easier to have 50 10-gallon tanks versus 20 40-gallon tanks.
Gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, I'm kind of like that. People say, and I mean, I can understand, the thought of less water, parameter swings. I mean, I understand it, but I don't have many issues with them. Right here behind me, I have two 2.5s. Right there, I have a 2.5. There's 6 10s, 220 longs, and my 10s and my 20 longs, they don't vary, much parameter wise. I mean, live plants, set water changes,
Right.
you know. I think it's just more of this is what I like, so I'm gonna make yours seem harder to do.
Well, and I'm not saying it's that easy because I promise you, I've made many, many, many mistakes. But I also think the biggest mistake I ever made was overcomplicating fish keeping and shrimp keeping and plant keeping. I just overcomplicated it way too much chemicals, too much relying on, bubblers and flow and hang on back and gravel or under gravel, sponge. What am I doing? Blah, 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 blah. That's why now I really, that's my tagline, keeping it shrimple, because I
Yep,
believe you have to keep it as simple as possible and utilize nature to help you, not so much mechanics. And it'll
yep,
take care of itself if you do it right. I've gotten lucky, several times where it's like, wow, how did I do that? I have no
yep,
problems in this tank. Everything's healthy. The plants are growing and it's beautiful. What did I do? Where the tank next door to it is all green and algae everywhere and snails there. What did I do different? So, I think you just got to
yep,
find the right balance, and it really
yep,
is practice, practice. That's why I like doing what I do, because I get to practice every time I reset a
yep.
tank or add another tank. I get to practice.
Guys, hey, talk about keep it shrimple, man. It don't get better than that. It don't get better than that. Like you said, let nature do what it does. Like when I found, let's say, Father Fish, use him as an example.
Yes, yes.
He's teaching about the substrate and the deep substrate and the cap substrate. He's older than me, but I mean, I've been having fish for like 40 some years. Let me show you something. That oh, that substrate is 2 years old, and most of it is just breakdown from the tank itself. Moam, driftwood, um, magnolia leaves. Most of the substrate, that's what it is. I keep snails. That substrate started out with worms. The very bottom, there's actual gravel in there. You don't really see it, but there's some gravel down in there that's disappeared after a while. But that right there, this one behind me, it's the same thing, about the same amount of time. It's not even
Right.
3 inches though. This might be 2 inches, but they've been both running about the same length of time. I've never experienced an algae bloom. I mean, there's those things that people discuss, and I'm like, uh, I don't. I've never smelled any, extraneous scents, and they laugh at me when I say I'll taste my water. I watch my fish. What are they doing? Do they look different today? If I see some slight difference, I'm okay. Let me do something. Let me do a top off.
Right.
Let me come back. Couple hours, okay. That wasn't it. Salt. Usually that's it. Because the water changes are still going on, as scheduled. Top off, salt. I don't buy any extra medications. I don't do any of that anymore. I'm not saying, y'all, that I didn't.
Right.
I'm not saying that. Yeah, I'm not saying that. I just don't now. Because you just let all of this become a part of you. Just that time you get in your fish room and you zen out, absorb everything about it. Absorb everything about it, the atmosphere, absorb everything about it. And it's easy. It's easy for you to pay attention to certain things. Live plants will never let you down. As ugly as duckweed can be, lifesaver. Lifesaver. Hair algae, yes. For those people who want those beautiful aesthetic tanks, I understand. I just want to look at my fish and they're healthy. Now you see that rascal right there shooting back and forth.
Yeah.
There's hair algae in that tank, believe me. But he ain't tripping. He's like, you have been in front of me all this while and you have not put food in here
yet. Swimming around your head.
Yeah, he's like, there's something going wrong, man. But I'm not gonna give up on you.
No, I get it. I
got two crawfish in that tank also.
I learned a valuable lesson because I think some of my mistakes at the beginning was I tried different canister filters and hang-on box, and I tried double sponge filters, regular filters, under gravel. I did all kinds of stuff, but I was amazed that after the house fire, and there was a 2-month period that there was no electricity, the tanks,
I know where you're going.
They were just left with whatever fish that me and Jason didn't catch and find when he was there, and we spent 8 hours trying to catch them all. But there was no electricity, there was no air, there was nothing in those tanks. And upstairs, I left them alone because it smelled so bad of smoke. It took me forever to be able to walk around upstairs, and I still had to wear a mask because of all the fiberglass. But those tanks, when I wiped off the glass and wiped off all the smoke damage, I looked and I was like, what the? There's fish, there's shrimp. How are they all alive and healthy? It was crazy. I started going through all the tanks that still had water and that I hadn't really paid attention to that still had fish. The plants were still growing. They weren't melted away. It was crazy how many fish survived with no electricity, with no air, because of all the plants that were in the tank.
Yep.
I was like, really? I spent all of that money and all of that stuff for filtration and air and, the electricity to run all that stuff. And look, now I wouldn't want to do that completely. I'd probably, especially with the cost of some of the shrimp I have. But like now I have one air pump. I have one of those LA 45s that Corey sells on Aquarium Co-op. And that runs my entire fish room off of one linear piston pump.
Gotcha.
You learn.
I have a buddy of mine tell me all the time. He's like, man, the shrimp, they'll be okay for a little bit because he has these bowls. You know how you make the bowls? He has these bowls with no filters, just it's shrimp, on every table. These bowls with the plants, chilling.
Right.
Guppy fry, just. He's like, no, man, they'll be okay. They'll be okay. One thing I learned is the fish will, with them looking like they're panicking per se, will panic you. They go up to the top. This is tanks though that have your plants and stuff in them. You'll see them, close to the top. They may breathe a little bit out. They somewhere breathe a little bit out. They're just getting themselves used to the oxygen level dropping. Give them a good 2-3 hours. They may not be running around high speed like they used to, but they get used to the oxygen level without the agitation,
Right.
and then they look normal 24 hours from now. Just keep the water changed. Just keep your water changes regular.
Yep.
Yeah, they'll do it. And it's
Yeah.
cool. It's cool, man, to be able to experience those things and to realize. Just think about your ponds, especially if you realize how often it rains in your area or it doesn't rain. You have these ponds. Like, speaking from experience, these ponds that I would go to every weekend with my best friend. Oh, it's during the summer and it's hardly raining at all. There's no inlet to this pond. Really no outlet unless it rains. But there's always fish in it.
Right.
Always fish in it, with fewer plants than we have in our fish tanks. And you're like, man, how is that possible? Yeah, little ditch. Yeah, you don't want to leave. It goes rancid. It goes rancid fast. It goes rancid fast. But those big ponds that's been around for a while, I mean, the substrate, what's in it has already balanced itself out.
Right.
You got your algae in there working like your regular plants. If you got enough of them, you get that thick green algae on top with the bubbles in it.
Right.
Those are plants.
Yes.
And people don't think about it now. That algae can take during the daytime, it takes oxygen out, but at night it puts oxygen in. Understanding that, yes, I don't know. But
right, no. And that's something that I've always I have tanks with algae in it, and that's the way I look at it. It's just a plant. And certain algae, my shrimp tanks especially, I just control it with water top offs and changes. And eventually the algae starts to dissipate and the plants catch hold and they start growing, and then the tank balances itself. And when it does that, it's just, to me, it's magical. Now, sometimes I get it right from the bat, because I put the right amount of moss or whatever that I do, and it works. But I prefer to grow algae for my shrimp because they feed off of it anyways. And as the algae starts to die off, they start picking at it. The fry love it. And, it's a natural food source.
Gotcha. So what would you say in the climate right now, in the hobby, what are some things that you would change? Let's say the hobby in regards to YouTube. What are some of the things you would like to see change? I guess that's the way I would word it.
Wow, I don't know, because I'm kind of like what I see, if anything, the change is more collabs and more people working together, and just making it about including people, because we all have stories, and some of them are very, very interesting. Some of them are, crazy, but we all have stories behind just our fish, our shrimp, our plants, our tanks, whatever. And what's really cool is, I think, the more you start looking at people's aquariums, you kind of get to know them a little bit better. I know that you get to know me a little bit better just by seeing the way I scape my tanks, or, what are my favorites, and it kind of, oh, okay, I get it. Everybody's got a little style, whether it's a style in scaping, a style in streaming and talking to people, but we all get to use this hobby to do it. That's the fun part. That's beautiful, man. Uh-oh, my battery's running low. Hold on. I got to plug it in. Let me stop. Let me close this and stop my cam. Hold on just a second.
Oh, yeah, you're good. You're good. Hey, y'all. Thank y'all for checking us out up to this point. All you people looking at this replay, thank you very much for coming in. Again, share it out. Get it to as many people as possible because I think what we do here is very important to people, period, but especially people in the hobby. Here on YouTube, you know, sometimes we can forget that there are real people. We're real people, but when people see you on the camera all the time, when the videos may not get to know who you are as a person. There's real people out there on the other side of the camera with real lives who some hang on every word some of us speak as YouTubers. Yes, strange as that sounds, we have fans also, real deal fans who hang on every word that you speak. So we have to be very, very, very responsible. And remember that those people are out there and they want to be led in the proper direction. Don't let your personal anything, your hang-ups, don't let that come into play, in regards to what we show, the people out here on YouTube, because it's very important. Without them, you wouldn't be you. All right. Uh, you're back. You're back.
I'm back. I got charge. I'm good to go.
Oh, yeah. No problem. No problem. So, what is something in the past year that you have learned from that you would like to share? Because we all have dealt with some of the same things, but I'm pretty sure you have some things that are different than most of us. What are some things that you've learned from, and some things that you learned?
One of the biggest things that I learned is with the tank that I have my clown killifish in. And when I set it up, I had set it up originally for Caridina shrimp. And I put the active substrate and I kept the TDS really, really low. But for some reason, I got them out of the tank that they were in and I moved them to that tank. But it had a lot of this green algae on the bottom of the tank. It was just covering the bottom of the tank. So I was like, I don't really want to put a bunch of chemicals. I'm trying to do this naturally. So I threw a bunch of water sprite, little baby water sprite plants that were propagating from another plant. And so I put them in there and let them just drop the roots and kind of let that water sprite take hold. And lo and behold, it is one of my prettiest tanks right now. There is no algae at all. I didn't change anything other than putting that water sprite in there. And in the process, that water sprite provided so much cover, and the roots hanging down, I guess, gave them a lot of places to lay their eggs. So next thing you know, I started seeing baby fry. And it's just wow. So right now, the biggest thing that I've learned is that sometimes the right plants will definitely help you balance out your tank without having to go to extreme measures and start throwing chemicals in and messing up the chemistry of your water.
Gotcha.
Again, it goes back to keeping it shrimpable. And I don't want to have to overthink this process anymore. I really don't. So I try to keep it as simple as possible. And I think the water sprite for that purpose, it was perfect. So I consider it my magic plant. That's one of the biggest things that I've learned that I think is really beneficial to everybody.
Did it umbrella out?
Yes.
See, I want to say water sprite and wisteria.
Mm-hmm.
I love the way that they'll just, you have people that plant them and they look good, but the way that they spread out on the top of, oh man, I really like that.
And
it's floating plant that's not a floating plant.
Yeah, and it's even growing out of the tank, probably about 8 inches or maybe 12 inches that is growing out of the tank, but it looks beautiful and I don't want to mess with it. It's awesome.
Even better.
watching that algae disappear slowly with just, I kept my consistent water changes, the normal once a week. Well, not so much after my surgery, but as much as I could. But the water stayed clear, and now it's crystal clear, and there's maybe a little patch here and there left of that algae, but all of the rest of the plants took over and they're doing wonderful.
Gotcha. So what active substrate? What does that consist of?
Usually it's like volcanic ash that's compressed into clay pellets. So it's basically it's got some kind of tannins, some nutrients. Fluval has a certain recipe versus what Brightwell has versus what maybe ADA Amazonia, but it's all basically the same kind of stuff to help buffer your pH and keep you anywhere between like 5.5 to 6.5.
Okay. Gotcha.
Timer
done went off, huh?
Yeah, I got everything on automatic timer, so it went off.
Alexa controls mine.
Oh, there you go. I'm afraid of Alexa in my house.
Hey, Alexa listens now.
I know. That's why I'm like, no.
Yeah, Alexa listens. But I will tell you now, there's no guarantee. But you go into, because I do it on my phone as well as on my computer. You can go into your settings, go through everything, and you can set up safeguards. Because Alexa, oh my God,
yeah,
somebody's paying Alexa somewhere.
Right? They had to shut her down yesterday, didn't they? Because it blew up the internet.
Did it? I don't know.
Yeah, I think something was going on that the internet was all messed up and Amazon wasn't working. Prime Video wasn't working. So,
what?
Yeah.
Yep. Watch it.
Yep.
That's crazy.
The interwebs playing games on us.
That's crazy. Hey, I'm all the time. Facebook, Instagram, even emails, phone calls, something that you talked about in your house, just general conversation. And you open up a web page or whatever, and it's like right there.
Yep.
I'm like, I didn't go online and do no search. How in the world is this coming up from these phones? Because I do my live stream on my phone, and yes, you'd be surprised. Had hernia surgery, and I went for months with hernia mesh things coming up. I'm like, man, what is going on? I never typed anything to do with hernia up on any site, anywhere, at any time. But I saw those ads forever. It's crazy.
Yep.
But hey, here's what it is. Snails. How do you feel about snails?
About snails? I have a couple of mystery snails. I have Malaysian trumpet snails, and really they don't bother me as much as they used to. I've kind of learned how to deal with them. I have a couple of assassin snails, so if I ever get a bunch of pest snails, or especially if there's an outbreak in my shrimp tank, I'll use the assassin snails to help control it.
Gotcha.
Or I catch them and I put them in my German ram tank, and the German rams love the snails. So,
they eat snails? I never knew.
Yep. They'll beat them up and suck the little snail out of the shell. It's crazy.
I never knew that.
I didn't either until I started keeping the rams, and then I was like, wow, my snail problem went away. So when it comes to that, I'm half and half. I think they're beneficial to a tank. If they're overrunning your tank, that just gives you an idea that you're doing something wrong. You're overfeeding, your balance is way off. So
Yeah,
You can correct
because
it.
you can always back off if you have an overabundance. There's other things that's not causing you problems, and then you back off on your feeding. Snails go down. I had one scenario where planaria
Oh,
had just
yes.
showed up. The planaria showed up, man. You know, and I'm like, what do I do? And it was like, well, you're overfeeding, so on and so forth. So I think at that point is when the snails like became. I never really hated them, but they became so much less of an issue for me because I'd rather feed the snails than the planaria show up. Oh
Right.
man,
Yes, and that's kind of why I like them, because they eat the leftovers that the fish don't eat, And then if they're a good sign to tell you if you see a bunch of snails around the food, especially in a shrimp tank, and the shrimp aren't around it. Well, then that means that you overfed them,
yeah,
and if you want to, you could just go in there and grab that whole clump and get a bunch of snails out. Like I said, I feed other tanks. I'll throw them in my ponds. I don't really not want them, but I don't want any tank to get overrun.
gotcha.
But
What do you have in your pond?
those are usually my guppy grow out. Is I throw ponds. I mean, I throw in my ponds, and then I also throw plants that are like water sprite and wisteria, anacris, stuff that I know will grow and just take over the pond just by floating, and then I can use trimmings to plant in my tanks.
Gotcha. Because I have a 50, I think it's a 50-gallon tote
Right.
in my garage that I have some convicts and one Takana Jewel cichlid in. And I was thinking like I have an extra one, and I was thinking about making it a shrimp tank. Now these are in my garage. The one I have out there now has a sump on it. It's like a gravity fed sump. I have a pump with water running up into it, but it's up high, so it's just pouring out the front. I have bio balls and some the filling the polyfill. I
Right.
have polyfill on the top, and I have a bunch of bio balls, and it's like trickle filtering.
Right.
I have some crushed coral in the bottom of it that all of the water that trickles down has to run through a 4-inch layer of crushed coral. And I was thinking about saying, put me some shrimp in here and just let them
Yeah.
go crazy.
Well, eventually, when I build my facility, because all of this is temporary, I'm just living here for now while I get everything situated so I can build a facility in the property next door. And I'm going to have from ponds to outdoor ponds, much bigger tanks, probably some 40 gallons. And then, of course, a lot of my 10 gallons, because I'm really going to try to breed more, focus on breeding, and I'm going to need several different tanks and ponds to do that, especially in the bigger numbers, So that's my long-term goal. So we'll see how
Gotcha.
that works out.
What's the most important thing? Would you say? No, most important things in regards to shrimp propagation and the breeding, and what's the most important things in your tank to maximize baby shrimp production?
Um, Really, the best thing I think is a lot of surface area provided by mosses, whether it's the wasser tangs or um, any kind of Physidens moss or Java moss, and giving them places where they can hide. Some of my most successful tanks are just a bunch of pieces of cholla wood or cholla wood and sawasser tang, to where they have so much surface area for biofilm and green glass. You got to have that algae
Oh,
for.
on the glass. Okay.
Yeah, I
Well, you
like
got
those
me
green
looking.
walls.
You got me looking at this tank over. I have like some Amazon sword type of plant in my cup. I mean my shrimp tank down here, and some little bitty, I want to say some bacopas. But these tanks over here have some. Um, I want to say it's guppy grass, but it has hair algae in it, and it's about yay big. And you saying that, I'm like, man, I move that over here, and the shrimp might like that more.
Yeah, guppy
But
grass
they have
too.
very few plants over here.
They love that stuff. They really do. It's a natural food source, just like they love duckweed. So that's another big thing too, is that duckweed, as much as it's a pain in the butt, duckweed is really good for helping pulling nitrates out of your water when you're getting a little bit of algae overrun. But also you can use it, grind it up, and feed your shrimp with it.
Gotcha. Man, you got
They
me.
love them some duckweed.
Look what you got me doing over here on the stream.
Yeah.
Man, hey, no better time than the present.
Right. Well, you got it on your mind. But yeah, that kind of stuff is some of the most important things that I think, that the shrimp have places to, go around and hide or crawl around and get that biofilm. And the more surface area on plants like tang, and also any kind of mosses, Java moss, spiky moss, flame moss, all of that stuff is a lot of surface area.
Gotcha. Now my paradise fish is mad over that because I stirred his tank up. But hey, he's looking at the glass like, man, no,
Now,
I think
baby
I just stirred up
survival
some
rate
stuff for him to eat.
for Caradinas, baby survival rate is really indicative based on your pH. So, if you keep your pH at the right ranges in the low to mid 6 range on pH, usually your fry will survive really well. And that's a good way to tell if you have a buried shrimp and it, hatches the eggs, but then you see baby fry and then they disappear. It's probably because the pH is too high. It's just they need that lower pH.
Okay.
And the mosses do well in the lower pH. That's why some of the other plants won't do so well in the lower pHs. So mosses, boosts, that kind of stuff does better in the lower pHs.
Gotcha. Good deal. That's cool. Have you been to any shrimp shows?
If Aquashella Shrimp Contest counts, I've been to
Yes, it can
those
be counted.
because
It can be counted.
that was my first experience, was Chicago 2019, where I got to see the first American Shrimp Contest, and I was just like, wow, this is amazing. All of these different shrimp, and now looking back, I'm going, oh, no wonder I recognize those names of the winners and stuff like that. I've learned a lot, but being at the one in Florida earlier this year, that was really cool to be a volunteer in the American Shrimp Contest, and then to be a judge at the one in Dallas. That was an amazing honor, and it was so cool to be a part of that and see shrimp from that perspective, or look at them from that perspective as a judge, not just a fanboy of shrimp.
Okay. Pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm hoping to see if maybe there's some way, now that COVID stuff's going away, that maybe we can get fish clubs or shrimp clubs going and do more of that kind of shrimp focused displays at the shows, and the swaps and stuff like that. Maybe try to get regional level competitions that we can take to the bigger competitions. Who knows? I just want to do more for the hobby and learn as much as we can all together.
Gotcha.
I'd love if there was like a certification program to where you could actually be certified as a master breeder if you do these certain things. And what would it take to do something like that? That's kind of some of the things that have come through my mind. The more and more I'm getting to know people and just understand more about the hobby, from the YouTube side of it, from the business side of it, and then where they come from the importing side of it. Learning more every day. Look, there's a Papa Shrimp sticker, Ohio Fish Rescue, another Papa Shrimp. There's Aquafunk right there. Mains, Tails, Furs, and Fins, 503 Aquatics, Texas Fish Room, Aquarium Co-op, right there. Been trying to throw some sticker love up there.
Hey man, most definitely. I had a slight sticker wall till we had to move, and I think the only sticker I have left right now is my Sand Creek Aquatics on that tank, because that is Nathan Alexander, my inspiration. So since it's on a tank, there's no way it could have went anywhere. But
Right.
I don't know what happened to my board that had the actual stickers on it.
Yeah, that's also
Most
why I
definitely.
didn't paint my racks, because all of this is supposed to be temporary. I didn't expect
Gotcha.
to be as permanent, but I didn't expect to have surgery in July over the 4th of July weekend. So that kind of put a little bit of a wrench in my plans, but hey, I'm here now and we just keep on keeping on.
Most definitely. Most definitely. Most definitely. Hey, y'all know I am a believer, and God is good. God is good all the
Amen.
time. God is good. Good,
Very
bro.
much so.
Hey, bro, I'm gonna thank you for coming on here tonight.
Thank
I
you.
really, 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 really enjoyed this. Very much so. Um, hey y'all, don't be mad at me. It was different, but in a good way, to be able to just focus just on you.
Right?
Yeah, it was no, I'm not gonna alienate y'all. Y'all will be back next week.
They'll
But
get
it
their
was
turn.
different. Yeah, it was different. The having to keep up with the chats, and hey, not having that over there. It was different. It was different, and I can say that it was a good. Let's just say, y'all, I took this was like a little vacation. That's, we had a
There
little
you go.
vacation from the chat. There you go. But we're gonna be back next week. Back at work, full head of steam. But man, God bless you. Thank you for
Thank you.
accepting the invite and coming on, man. Because like I always say, it's always humbling for me for somebody to say, "Yeah, I'll come talk to you." Because so many people could say, "No, who are you? What do you want?" I mean,
Right.
I just want to get to know you. Just want to get to know you. That's all.
Now, man, it was fun, and I appreciate the invite. It was, we set it up a couple of months ago, and you were hitting me up and saying, hey, while I was going through recovery. So that meant a lot to me too. So thank you very much for all of that.
Most definitely, most definitely. If we can stay here, we need to stay here. If he didn't say it's time to go, don't go nowhere. Hey,
No,
I'm gonna
I'm
tell y'all,
actually
sometimes we can leave early because you give up.
right. Wasn't my time.
You
I
hung
ain't
in there.
leaving.
You hung in there. He hung in there.
That's right.
God bless you. God bless you, brother.
Thank you,
Hey,
man.
y'all. You know what I always say? Tell somebody you love them. Take care of those fish. And we out. Peace.
Peace.